And welcome back. Today with the Christmas sales I want to cover the GE premiums real quick. If you want to know about packs as well as talismans, I will sometimes very briefly cover them, but in general I will not. It will be in the description. I have it's over an hour long actually, and essentially nothing has changed since then. Everything I say there still applies here. The tier 8 planes don't shift the meta enough. Sure, it made some planes worse, but all relative sense, the same planes are still worth it, and the bad planes are still bad. There are some new premiums, the tier 7 ones, they are packs and they're not on sale. They won't be on sale for 1 or 2 more patches, and they're just not worth the pickup for full price as of right now. There are 1 or 2 exceptions, but in general, I would say hold off on them until you actually get a discount on them. So again, for premiums, talismans, packs and everything, I have a video in the description. It's much more in depth. Today I want to keep it somewhat brief, somewhat relevant, cleaned up, and just push it out so people get a notification of what to buy. That's really what this is. So people get a notification and they know what to pick up. And while we're at it, if you want to get this decal right here, you can do so by using my discount code, how convenient, down below. You get 3% off, I get a cut, and you get this decal. And of course, as per usual, thank you to all my YouTube members, as well as to all my Patreons. So let's get started with USA. And you can see that I have a little bit of a lineup going on here. And first off is going to be the XP50. The XP50 is one of the best SL grinders you will find in the game. You get an air spam, and to be honest, you basically have the same performance as something like the BF109 F4, which I also still recommend. The funny thing is, the XP50, well, it gets an air spam. XP50, definitely one of the better planes to grind with in general. Keep in mind, it's only tier 3, and you will not be able to grind out the entire tree with it, but if you're only looking for props, the XP50 is more than sufficient to grind out the entire American prop lines. The 109 F4, it's fun. It's a little bit more gimped and it's a little bit harder to fly, but if you are an avid 109 enjoyer, the F4 is one of the best ones you can actually pick up. And then we have the XP55. Now the XP55 has a few things going against it. Firstly, it's going to be the price. Secondly, it's going to be the tier. You are looking at about 2000 or 2500 GE for a rank 2 vehicle. You can't grind events with it, and you just can only grind up until rank 3, and it's much more expensive than the XP50, which is at the moment I think only like 800. So really, if you're only looking for props, the XP50 is an absolute no-brainer, because 800 GE, it's like $5. And then we have some planes here at tier 4. Nothing much really other than the F2G. The LF Mark 9 can be pretty fun, it can be pretty good, but keep in mind everyone will run from you. They see you Spitfire Mark 9, they see you are a premium, they know exactly which one you are, and they're just gonna run from you. It's not a fun experience, but if you are a Spitfire enjoyer, this is one of the better Spitfires in the game. If this thing goes on sale, I'm not sure if it does, it goes here and there. Yes, it's pretty decent, but I made a video on it as well to cover it. It's not really meta anymore, but you have a lot of 50 cals and a lot of ammo. Other than that, not really anything here. Rank 5, not much either. The F89B, it's okay right now, but with the Avid SU11 spam, which you should buy, but I'll get to that in a second here. It's a bit of a boat. It's not really enjoyable. Back then the guns were actually a lot better, so you could strafe ground targets a lot better. You would strafe everyone a lot better. And in head-ons and stuff, deflections, this thing was an absolute buzzsaw. But they halved the rate of fire of this thing, and now it's nowhere near as stupid. It's still a pretty good plane, and you have absolute dumb acceleration. But I mean, it's not very enjoyable to fly, but it's a pretty decent grinder, and it can basically do anything. Just keep in mind the guns are not as good as they are in most videos. And then we reach rank 6, and I do want to cover this very briefly because there's basically nothing here. F5C, it's still going to be the best pickup here. But the A10A, I mean, if you really are just looking for ground pounding, and if you are looking for only tank RB, it's a decent pickup. The packs might go on sale next week, but we don't have any guarantees on that. And then we have the A6E tram. Now this thing, even on sale, I wouldn't buy it. But if you are a A6E enjoyer, you can definitely pick it up, I guess. But wait for the sale. It's not a good vehicle. And the payload here really isn't that impressive. Sure, you have some paveways. Sure, you have some guided bombs. But I don't think that guided bombs are really the play here. And the flight performance on top of that is absolutely horrible. As well as the loadout options, because, well, you can carry bombs and missiles, but you have to always swap out one for the other. Not exactly a great experience, in my opinion. But if you want to get the F-16, well, you can get this F-16 in another way if you're not really bound by the fact that you really want to play a certain nation. So I would say skip this one for the time being, and even when it goes on sale. Next up is Germany, and Germany is a lot more bare bones. We have basically nothing here that's worth buying other than some event stuff. The F189 is pretty decent, but it's not on sale. And other than that, there's basically nothing here. Rank 2 here. Again, basically nothing, but the Yak 1B is pretty damn solid. It's pretty cheap as well. But keep in mind, again, it's rank 2 and you're not really going to be grinding much with it. And I think it's basically a wasted investment. Rank 3, unfortunately, there's basically nothing here. This is kind of mid. This is kind of shit. This is kind of mid as well. It's the same vehicle basically. This thing is terrible. This thing you can't get. This thing is okay, but I think it's also from the sale probably the best rank 3 premium that Germany has. And this thing, I mean, 190's got a flight model update, and I dare you to fly them right now, but they turn even worse than they already did. This thing now, it's absolutely dog trash. So rank 3, I just say skip it. There's a much better line in rank 4, which coincidentally, I mean, it's also a higher rank, so you can grind more with it and you get more resource in return as well. So first off, you have the Heinkel 219A7. Now this thing, it's not exactly great, but you have an absolute metric shitload of guns. You can just push head-ons with everyone and you can basically clear the entire map of ground units. I don't recommend it in terms of flying it as a fighter, but in terms of fast RP, it's pretty decent. Dornier 335B2, basically the same idea. I made a video on this in the description if you want to check it out. It got 9 kills. The payout is pretty good. The guns are really good. But keep in mind, the flight performance itself is not great. If you have decent to good aim, you have some decent positioning, and you know who to engage, or you just want a ground pound, pretty goated pick, even in ground RB, because these guns absolutely shred. The Tempest, I don't recommend you to pick up, and then unfortunately, I have to say it, the Junker 288 is still one of the best grinders in the entire German line. It's also absolutely brain dead. The issue is, if you are only looking for grinding, if you are not used to the game, and you're trying to grind something like, say, the Lim 5P, the MiG-15 BIS, the G91, or whatever you're trying to fly, then by the time you reach it, if you haven't flown other nations, you gotta be at rank 5 and you have no idea how to fly a fighter. So I don't recommend this if you don't have any planes yet. But if you want brain dead RP and you already have some planes and you want to get free SL basically, I mean, I hate recommending this thing because it basically killed the 6.0 max matching. But I'm not gonna lie when I say just pick it up. It's one of the better grinders in the game. Unfortunately, you can only grind up until rank 5. And then I would say skip all of these. Well, it's only the G91 R4. The R4 is just not it. Same with this thing. It's just not it. It's kind of like the A5C, which is great. But more of that in a minute here. I don't like this thing. You can space climb, of course, and then shoot 2 R60s down below. And then break off an RTB. The issue is it's either 64 countermeasures or you bring a gun. There is no and here, it's or. You can bring countermeasures or a gun. And I don't like flying around without a gun, but I also don't like flying around without countermeasures in a Delta wing at 10.0. So pick your poison basically. It's either fly around with your dick in your hand or fly around exploding. Basically, it's one or the other. What I would recommend here, and this is one of the few ones where I will say, pick the rank 7 premium. Of course, wait for the sales, people. It's not worth to drop 70 for these. But this is going to be the better grinder in Germany if you want to go anything beyond props. Because this thing, as well as this thing, are just not it for RRB. They're not very good, and I just don't recommend it. If you really want to get a ideal way, I would talisman something in rank 5. If you have flown the Junker 288, or one of these three basically, or the D13. The D13 is amazing, but again, it's a pack. It's a good plane. At 5.0, it's nuts, but again, it's not on sale. If the sale, or if the packs do go on sale, definitely pick it up. It's probably going to be the best fighter prop that you can buy in terms of a premium, other than the Yak 1B, but the Yak 1B is only rank 2, and you don't really grind the entire tree with it. So Say you get some of these rank 4s, which I recommend. I recommend you to get rank 4s on the sales. I would look to start talismaning one of these. This was my first jet in the game. Do I recommend you to talisman this? Probably not. It's not great performing and the gun is kind of whack. Of course, it's fun to fly, it's fun to snipe, but if you aren't very familiar with this game, I don't recommend you to do it. If you really want to talisman something, it's gonna be either the MiG-15 BIS, and I hate to say this, but maybe the 162. Now hear me out. The 162, it's not a great jet, but at 6.0, it doesn't have to be a great jet as long as you are faster than everything else. The 162 is good. Keep in mind, it's a super boring plane. It's a very tedious playstyle, and you are going to get cancelled by planes just climbing on your 6. Is it fun to fly? That's up to debate. Is it objectively pretty decent? Sure. I don't recommend this for 99% of the player base. Keep that in mind. I don't think that it's a great pickup for most of the people that play this game. But for the people that know how to boom and zoom, for the people that know how to stay fast, and for the people that have a shitload of discipline or simply like the playstyle of something like a P51 D20 or something like the MB5 or the Wyvern, then this thing is pretty damn good. Don't expect to start carrying too hard on it, but on paper this thing is pretty decent. But again, 99% of you are not going to be enjoying this, so I would say skip it. MiG-15 BIS, however, most of you should probably do fine in, because, well, you're mostly on the team of the Russians, and those are the all aspects you're going to be running in the most. Lim 5P here, it's kind of iffy, and all these planes are kind of iffy. If you want to go more in depth, just watch my old video in the description. But really, this is going to be looking pretty good. For 70 bucks, of course, it won't be, because it's so much cheaper than getting one of these. And then talismaning, it's so much cheaper, but it also might be a lot more tedious. And if you are looking for top tier jets, this might be more up your alley, but 70 is just too much. Once this goes on sale, the MiG-21 BIS, even though it's not the best top tier, it's one of the better premiums you can get for the German line. Next up, we have Russia, and Russia is really easy, because all of these premiums are kinda mid. Rank 1 has basically nothing, rank 2 has basically nothing, rank 3 has very little, but it does have one thing. If I can find it, well, it's the P39, but it's not on sale. It goes on sale like twice a year. You already see what I'm looking at right there, and you already know what I'm going to be saying. If this thing goes on sale, great pickup. If you like LE7s, it's a great plane nonetheless. But the two biggest no-brainers in this entire line are going to be the Yak 3 VK107, if you only care about props, and the SU-11. I mean, do I really need to specify the SU-11? 7.0 for basically 8.0 performance. You get really good teams. At worst, you get up-tiered in the best 8.0s that are in your team as well. So you are really safe for this one. I don't like it for grinding too much, because your teams are so good you mostly get nothing done. But your win rate is going to be through the roof. You're going to have a very easy time not dying, and that's going to keep your SL repair costs down. And everything you do kill is going to bank you pretty good RP, because, well, it's a premium rank 5. The Yak 3 VK107 is one of the best props in the game. And I mean, hey, it's rank 4. If you only care about props, that's more than sufficient. Rank 6 here. This thing used to be great. It's absolute ass now. SU-7 is still an okay in terms of bombing, but you're just going to get AIM-9 ELT. And the SU-25, I mean, is very brain dead. You can kind of just throw your plane around and get some easy kills in with the R60Ms. But I don't think it's a great grinder. But really, it's the best one here in rank 6. And then again, we reached one of those planes that's just really good. The MiG-23 ML is basically an MLD. They're very similar. They're very slightly different, but not really worth noting. It's a good plane, but I think with Russia, you don't need to get this one. You're much better off buying this thing. It's 4000 GE. And then you can look at what do I talisman next. Very easily here. It's going to be one of these. You can do the SU-25 and you basically get this thing, but for much less. But I don't think that this talisman... Oh, it is on... So that's like... With 4000, that's like 46. Sorry, 56. And then you can grind rank 7 already. It's that easy. So you can kind of pick and choose here. The MiG-19 at 9.3 is absolutely criminal as long as you don't run into any all aspects. You can fly around the all aspects somewhat with it. It's not very good in that regard in terms of dealing with missile slats. But the MiG-19 PT is one of the best 9.3s in the game, and if you do know how to fly it, you're going to rinse almost every lobby that isn't a full up tier. So yes, I would say get the Su-11, Talisman the MiG-19 PT. And if you are more of a, I don't know how to fly this, I struggle with the MiG-19, I struggle with energy fighting, especially if you also have to keep in mind that there is like a lot of missiles around, you can buy this and Talisman the Su-25. And then you can basically grind the entire nation. You can go here and then maybe Talisman the MLD, because the MLD is again just the ML, which is only 1500. So you're looking at 1500 plus whatever this is. So that's 2700. So that's like 6,000. Let's say rounded up 7,000 GE, which is like 40 bucks. Now, if you can wait for the MiG-23 ML to go on sale, it's going to take a few months for that. And then sure, the ML is going to be the bargain bin. Well, not bargain bin, it's a pretty decent plane. It's going to be cheaper to do. But until then, Su-11, Talisman at rank 6, Talisman at rank 7, and you're good. If, of course, you can make that on time. Because, well, I guess that you have a week, so if you fly this out, you can grind like this and this. Maybe you will be able to Talisman one of these. Don't pin me down on it. I'm just giving you some advice. Then we go on to Britain. And Britain also doesn't have too much, but we do have some pickups here. Rank 1 we can basically skip. Same with rank 2. Corsair is pretty decent, but I don't think it's worth it considering we have better Corsairs in the other nations, which we will reach after this one. So we go to rank 3. Mustang. It's pretty fun, it's pretty decent, it's not the best, but it's one of the more fun. It's pretty fun, it's pretty good, and it's pretty cheap. Rank 3, however, and there are much better picks to be had here. We have the Hornet Mark 1 for the absolute energy enjoyers. This thing is pretty damn solid. Wyvern, it's a pack, I know, but I cannot not tell you about this one. Very, very good grinder, 1200 rounds, good ground ordnance, absolute ridiculous speed for a 4.0. It's faster than some 6.3s, so keep that in mind. Other than that, these things are not really worth picking up. MB5, again, one of those, I'm really fast, but I don't climb and I don't maneuver very well planes. But if you are into that kind of gameplay, feel free to pick it up. Over here, Attacker, I would say no. Reaper is okay if it's on sale. Hunter FGA is not on sale, I think, and it's also kind of just LPOV, and the Sea Vixen is actually pretty solid. I hate flying it, I hate fighting it, it's an absolute brain dead missile sled, you don't even have fucking guns, but hey, it's pretty solid, it's pretty good, and it's a pretty high BR. And mainly, when we look at this here, right here, rank 6, don't pick any of these up. The Buck, the Lightning, and the Harrier GR1 are absolutely shit right now. This doesn't have countermeasures, and this is even worse and doesn't have countermeasures either. SRAMs just get very easily flared. Everyone has flares these days. You're just off too high of a BR. You have a worse engine than the GR3 or the AV8s if you have flown those things. And there is just really nothing here that's really super enjoyable. It's kind of an L. Same here. The thing is, there's really nothing to grind for rank 8 here. So you could get away with buying the Sea Vixen and then talismaning. You're probably best off with either the Javelin, I know the Javelin, or the Harrier GR3. The Scimitar is also very good, but it's super fast. It holds its speed super well. But keep in mind, it's a boat, it's hard to aim, and it doesn't have very good missiles. This is a frustrating mobile for the very experienced one that knows exactly what to do. These are more casual. The Harrier as well as the Javelin, I think, are pretty solid pickups. Now, don't think that the Javelin is going to carry your ass with its missiles and its performance and its afterburners at 8.3. It's not very easy to fly. If you are just a casual player, the Harrier GR3 can basically do everything you want. And then if you really want to get the Tornado, I'll make a video on this thing tomorrow. I made it for today, but I mean, I'm going to do this first because this is more relevant. I want to warn people about what not and what to buy. So Tornado, hard skip, don't bother about it, or don't worry about it. And then I would say get the Sea Vixen, get the Javelin or the GR3. For most people it's going to be Vixen, GR3, and then get the GR7. These planes are not very great. I think the F4J, I mean, it's basically their best top tier right here. Because, well, I guess the GR7 is better right now in the current matchmaker. But the FG1 and the FGR2, does the same plane, probably the second best in slot for Britain, and you can outright buy it. I mean, a bit of a no-brainer once it goes on sale, if you want to skip this absolute shit tier grind. But right now, again, $70, not worth the pickup. Japan actually has quite a few things here. We have the FU1A, which is really good for printing SL, and it's just really good in general. But again, only rank 2. Rank 3, P51C. Extremely good vehicle, extremely good for grinding SL as well as RP. One of the best planes at the BR, and probably one of the best planes BR for BR in the entire game. Definitely worth the pickup. Also very cheap. A7M1 for the more casual player that just wants to do everything by stamping on the elevator. If you want to fly and if you really want the Japanese experience, A7M1, it won't get you much. It won't get much closer to the actual Japanese experience than that. It's stamp on your elevator and kind of win if they fight you and lose if they run away. But the A7Ms are a lot more forgiving than something like a Zero in my opinion, because this thing is not just a one trick. Sure, it's 90% about the turn rate, but this thing can also do some other things. And then we reach rank 4. J2M4, no. One of the worst planes in the game. Absolutely terrible, but hey, there's one right below it. That's actually pretty solid. J2M5. Now, do not expect this thing to fly like the J2M2. It is worse than it. However, the 30mm are pretty fun. They hit pretty damn hard. And of course, your rank 4, so you can basically rank or grind out every other prop in the game. JazDev Saber is kind of terrible. So is the T2 early. So I made a video on both of these if you want to have a little bit of a sneak peek of them. I don't recommend either of them. And I hate to say it, but this is one of those nations where the F4EJ ADTW is actually going to be worth a pickup. The issue is, however, it's a hard wing Phantom. I do like this paint scheme. I like this one more though because it fits better with my decal. The issue is just that this plane, it's the same as this one, and it's not good. It really is just not good. You do have a Vulcan, you do have flares, you are decently quick, and with some lower fuel amounts you can somewhat dogfight people, but keep in mind this thing does not have the Agile Eagle system and is not as maneuverable as say the F4F or the F4E. It's nowhere near the same. You don't have a good pulse Doppler, you don't have a good radar missile, so you're basically just, well, people that fly the F4F complain, you should fly the F4EJ non-Kai Phantom. You're gonna absolutely shoot yourself in the brain. It's not fun, it's not good, but it's still better than the T2 early by a long shot. And well, this thing, I think it can be fun, but I think if you are gonna be shelling out a lot of GE for a jet, you might as well go all the way and just grind out the entire nation, because this grind right here is absolutely terrible. It's not like the other ones with Russia where I say it's a pretty good pickup, but you have different planes. It's a bit like Germany but worse, because all of this kind of blows. The F-86 F-30 is okay, but the R2Y2s at 8.0 is an absolute joke. The Kia 200 at 8.7 is an absolute joke. The Kika at 7.0 is pretty good, but the Su-11 just does everything better than you, and you are going to be facing them every game. The F-40, I mean, I think it's slightly over-BR'd in the compressed matchmaker that we have, so you're basically looking at flying the F-30 only. F-104J is terrible, T2 is terrible, as well as the F1. These three planes are the absolute bane of my existence. I cannot, in good, how do you say it? Man, this kind of pulled out all the momentum, didn't it? I cannot say in good faith, just buy this plane, Talisman, the F-30, or the Kika. To that point, I can say, so what? Yeah, sure. But then this. You need to still buy a Talisman for these. And you need to fly these. You don't have countermeasures. You don't have the best missiles. I mean, you have the AIM-9Js, sure, but I mean, they get flared away instantly. They're not fast enough, they don't have countermeasures, and there's just too many R-24s around with the MiG-23 ML spam going on. So you are kind of just forced to buy this thing, because flying this thing is terrible. So is this thing, but at least it's premium. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get less SL cost, you're going to get more RP throughout this entire experience, and once you're done, you're going to get an upgrade. The thing is, however, For right now, it's not worth to pick up because this thing is just not worth it. Sure, it has one of the best radars in the game. There's some of the best IR missiles in the game, and it has the best, well, if I'm not going to stir up some shit, at least top 2 radar missile, AIM-7F. And it has a good amount of countermeasures, but the flight performance is the same as this thing, and tell me at 11.3 this flight performance is just not cutting it. However, everything else is A tier or S tier. Just the flight performance is absolute doo-doo tier. So be warned. Next up is China, and this one is pretty easy. So you can skip all of these. K84, absolute chef kiss, pretty decent good plane. Very good plane actually. Shenyang F5, don't recommend at 9.3 because, well, all aspect missiles. And then we reached a little bit of a higher tier. A5C, I know it's a pack. But A5C is one of the better brain dead grinders in the game. You just climb, shoot magics, RTB, repeat. Pretty easy. J7D is essentially the same. You do get a lot of countermeasures and you get something very nice. PL5s and PL7s. These are some of the best IR missiles in the game. And funnily enough, so are these. And you can... Yep. You can equip them both if you would like to. So J7D, I think it's good. But you don't have to do it because you can just buy the A5C. Once it goes on sale, if it goes on sale next patch. And then you can talisman one of these. And there's some pretty decent picks in here. The F5E is okay. The J8B is okay. But I would say go for the J7E. It's the most unique in this nation. And if you are looking to fly something for a long time, the J7E will definitely not disappoint you. And you can then grind the MLU with it. On to Italy. Also not very hard, because there's just really nothing here. It's all kind of shitty. But then we reach the G2 Trop. It's okay, I guess. And the issue with Italy is just, I would skip all of these. Even if you only fly props, just buy the Ariete. And you might say, well, I have to deal with all aspect missiles in my non-flare plane. I don't have missiles myself. Trust me, you won't need them. This thing is absolute bullshit at 9.3. Sure, all aspect missiles can be kind of a pain in the dick. But this thing will out 1v1 basically anything as long as you get past the head-on. And even in the head-on, the Hispano HS825, which I had to read because I can't remember it, are absolutely nuts. So this thing, no-brainer for the Italian tech tree. And I would not even consider these. What I would do is get the F-16 in another nation. These are all kind of mid. This is shit. This is okay, but this is much better. This used to be really, really good. It's okay now, but I mean, 10.7, 11.7 planes, you're probably not going to have a very good time. These two are absolute horrible. And this one is kind of shit too, because it doesn't have countermeasures. This one too, it's also rank 7. But I don't think you need to get this thing, because the ASA is basically the most unique thing you can get here. And you can get it with Ariete. So I would say skip this. If they add better planes here that are actually worth it, I would say maybe. But again, this plane is not very good, even though it does have countermeasures. What I would say to you, wait for the sales. And even then, you can skip it. Just buy the Ariete. France, very easy as well. Yak 3, and you can ask Glitch how much it costs. One of the best props in the game. And you get it, well, for premium. Also very, very solid SL grinder. This is all kind of shit. This is kind of shit. And then we reach the Milan and the Mirage F1C. And again, wait for the sale, people. But if you want to get the Mirage 2000, which is funnily enough still rank 7, try to get it while it's still rank 7. Because you do not, trust me, you do not want to grind out this entire heap of shit right here to get to the Mirage 2000. This thing is not worth it. It won't even get guns. Yes, you heard me right. It doesn't even get guns. Let me show you. There are no guns. There are no guns, people. You don't want to get this thing. So, Milan, I hate saying this. You have no idea how much I hate this vehicle. To fly it as a fighter, but it's a very good bomb sleigh. You just circle around the map. You drop your dookie on the base, and you leave. You can maybe try to get 1 or 2 kills on the way back, but very often you're just going to get missiled by one of the 200,000 missile buses that are at this BR. Not an enjoyable experience, but in terms of a bomb sleigh, it's pretty decent. And this is all kind of shit. So it's either the Yak 3, the Milan, or the Mirage. And again, wait for the sale, please. Like, it's not very good. It's one of the worst 11.3s in the game, but at least it has good missiles. And at least it has countermeasures. But don't tell me I didn't warn you, because this thing is absolutely horrible when it comes to its flight performance. But if you are... I mean, right now there's no reason to, because this is the only rank 8, but this will go to rank 8. I will assure you, it's a very good it's a very good plane. So I would say right now, if this goes on sale next patch, I would say try to get this as fast as you can, so that you don't have to buy it rank 7 premium, because it's simply not worth it. Rank high tier French is really shitty. Actually, all the French is kind of shitty, so if you just fly the Milan, you can grind out everything other than the Mirage 2000D, but the DN is basically shit. Well, not basically, it is kind of shit. Not even kind of, it's just shit. Am I clear yet? It's just shit. Sweden, very easy as well. And there's not much here. Puromursky is very good if it goes on sale next week with the patch. But if you are looking for GE, G6, no brainer. Very good plane, and you can grind out all the props with it. And then with the Saab 105 OE is okay. It's a GE premium, it's like 4,000 I think it is right now, and you can grind out most of this. The issue then, we're going to be at it again, and this is one of those 3 nations, or 4 nations, the 4th is going to be Israel, but we'll get to that in a second. I recommend this thing, because this thing is absolutely terrible. The thing is, you're not really missing out much. J37D right here, I will make a video on this in 2 or maybe 3 days. It's not very good, you're not missing out by not flying it. But if you do want to grind out everything and you only want to buy 1 premium, wait a few months, get this thing on sale. Skip the J35A, it's absolute dog water. It's not fun to fly. So for now, I would say fly the G6, grind out up until rank 5 or something. But there's really not much here that's really worth to get. And if you are looking at maybe say get the Saab 105 OE and then Talisman one of the rank 6, which one are you gonna Talisman? They're all kind of shit. Sure, it's the J29F, which is probably going to be the best pick here, the J32B and the A32A, and to the guy that's commenting every video, no, I'm not flying them. And then the J34, which I made a video very recently, it's absolutely terrible. I bought a Talisman on premium. I bought it on accident. I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was buying something else, and I bought the Talisman for the J34. It's probably the biggest sin I've ever committed in War Thunder. But hey, here I am with a Talisman on my J34, telling everyone that it's absolute dog water. But trust me, this thing is beyond trash. So wait for this thing to go on sale. These jets are not really worth it. The Saab 105 is okay for the price, but I don't think it's very good. But then you can only rank or grind out rank 6. I mean, there's really nothing here. You need to fly one of these then, that you need a Talisman. It's not a fun experience. And then you need a Talisman one of these as well. And at that point, this on the sale is going to be cheaper. And this one actually, I'll show you, gets a pretty decent loadout. It's not the best, but you can bring out a lot of missiles. 6 in fact. And these are all AIM-9Js. And you also have some flares. So I mean, yes, but wait. Please wait. For the love of God, wait. Israel, it's going to be very short, because this thing, look at my G, and I still haven't bought it. That's just how shit it is. A4E, it's a pack vehicle, I believe. Not very good anymore without the airspan. For ground RB, of course it is. But, I mean, I think most of you are not going to be flying ground RB. And then we have the Kafir Canard. I mean, I'm just going to say sure on the simple premise that there is nothing here. Because this is just not worth it. And neither is this. So yeah, I basically have to grind out everything with a prop. This is going to be a kind of a no-brainer once it goes on sale. The issue is, how do I say this? Well, it's bad. There's no real way around it. It's not a very good pickup. And the only thing you can get with it is the F-16. And the thing is, I mean, you can see it right here. Let me check 1 second in terms of... Okay, it does get AIM-9Ls. But keep in mind, this is the worst F-16. Not worth it. I would say do not bother with this one. Try to get the MLU, which is without a doubt the best F-16 that we have. The issue is, and I'll show you real quick what I mean with that. Yeah, 33% win rate. These teams are not doing very well. Trust me. You're not going to have a great time in these. The Chinese teams right now are absolute dog water. Sorry, Taiwanese F-16. For everyone that gets it, well, it's Jimmy's Russell. But these teams are absolute dog shit. They're absolutely unflyable. I went like 3.3 to 1 or something, which is not great, I think, but I still had like a 33% win rate. Like, what am I supposed to do? So don't worry about that one. I would say just get this. The ADF is the good one. And I mean, the issue is you can't really grind it. So there you have it. Hope it was helpful. If the packs go on sale, I will do this again next week, but we'll have to wait and see. And this went on much longer than I was supposed to let it go for. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to use the discount code, and I'll see you all tomorrow with a tornado video.